What if the Jedi Purge never happened? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. One choice, one single decision in Palpatine's office, and everything changes. Order 66 never happens. The clones don't turn on their generals. The Jedi Temple doesn't burn. Darth Vader never exists. But here's what nobody tells you about that timeline. It's not perfect. It's not paradise. Because saving the Jedi Order means facing something far more dangerous than its destruction. The truth about what the Jedi had become, and whether they deserve to survive at all. The scene is chaos. Mace Windu's lightsaber hums inches from Palpatine's throat. The Chancellor's face is twisted, deformed by dark side corruption. Lightning crackles between them. And Anakin Skywalker stands in the doorway, hand on his lightsaber, the fate of trillions hanging on what he does next. In another timeline, he strikes down Windu. He becomes Vader. The galaxy burns. But not here. Not today. The night air of Coruscant crackles with tension as Anakin had raced through the corridors of the Chancellor's office moments before. His mind was a storm of conflicting emotions. Fear for Padme, desperation to save her, and the lingering words of Palpatine promising him the power to cheat death. He could feel it, the dark side pulsing through the building like a heartbeat, drawing him forward. When he arrived, the scene before him froze his blood. Mace Windu standing over Chancellor Palpatine, lightsaber raised and humming with lethal intent. The Chancellor, his face twisted and deformed, pleading for mercy. Lightning crackling from his fingertips as Windu deflects it back with his blade. "You are under arrest, my lord. The oppression of the Sith will never return. You have lost." Palpatine's eyes snap to Anakin, and in that moment, everything hangs in the balance. No, you will die. He's too dangerous to be left alive. I need him. Don't listen to him, Anakin. Anakin's hand trembles as it hovers near his lightsaber. His mind races through everything that has led him to this moment. The visions of Padme dying, the promise of power, the years of feeling undervalued by the Council. But then another set of memories floods through him. Obi-Wan's patient teaching, Ahsoka's trust in him, the younglings he helped train, and Padme's words about the Republic she believed in. He sees Palpatine clearly now, not as a mentor but as a manipulator, a spider who has been weaving this web for years. Anakin's lightsaber ignites, but instead of striking Windu, he points it at Palpatine. Master Windu is right. You're under arrest, Chancellor. Palpatine's expression shifts from desperation to fury in an instant. You fool. Do you think the Jedi will save your wife? Do you think they care about your love, your attachments? They will let her die. Maybe they will, but I won't become a monster to save her. I'll find another way. Windu doesn't waste another second. His blade comes down, and Palpatine tries to unleash another torrent of lightning, but the combined defense of both Jedi overwhelms him. Anakin feels the dark side surging within him, tempting him to strike with hatred, but he resists. The lightning reflects back onto Palpatine, and with a final scream, the Sith Lord collapses. Windu deactivates his lightsaber and looks at Anakin with something that might be respect. You made the right choice, Skywalker. The hardest choice. Anakin stares at Palpatine's smoking body, his hands still shaking. Now what happens? Now we clean up this mess. The galaxy is about to learn that the Sith have been manipulating them for years. Across the galaxy, clone troopers continue their missions, fighting alongside their Jedi generals. Commander Cody stands beside Obi-Wan Kenobi on Utapau, watching as the Jedi Master dispatches General Grievous. In another timeline, Cody would receive Order 66 and shoot his general in the back. But that order never comes. Instead, his comlink crackles with a different message. All units, cease offensive operations. Supreme Chancellor Palpatine has been arrested for treason. Await further orders. Cody lowers his weapon and glances at Obi-Wan, confused. General, did you know about this? Obi-Wan's face is pale as he reaches out through the Force, feeling the disturbance across the galaxy. I felt something, a great darkness snuffed out. But I didn't know. We need to return to Coruscant immediately. On Kashyyyk, Yoda stumbles as the Force ripples through him. The darkness that has clouded his vision for years suddenly lifts, and he sees clearly for the first time in a long while. Master Yoda, are you all right? A clone trooper rushes to his side, but Yoda waves him off. Fine, I am. A great change has occurred. To Coruscant we must return. The Senate chamber erupts into chaos when the news breaks. Holoscreens across the galaxy broadcast the evidence that Mace Windu and Anakin Skywalker recovered from Palpatine's office. Communications with Dooku, plans for the war, manipulation of both sides, and most damning of all, records of his true identity as Darth Sidious. Dark Lord of the Sith, Senator Bail Organa stands at his pod, trying to restore order as senators shout accusations and denials. This is unprecedented. We need an emergency session to elect an interim chancellor and investigate the full extent of this conspiracy. Senator Padme Amidala, her pregnancy now becoming visible, speaks with quiet authority. The evidence is clear. Palpatine has been manipulating us all, prolonging this war for his own gain. We must act swiftly to restore faith in the Republic, but we must also acknowledge that we allowed this to happen. We were so focused on victory that we stopped asking the right questions. In the Jedi Temple, the Council convenes an emergency session. Anakin stands before them, no longer a Padawan, but not yet a master. The room is tense as Windu recounts what happened. Skywalker's intervention was crucial. Without his help, Palpatine might have escaped or killed me. His choice to stand with the Jedi, despite his personal conflicts with the Council, shows the character we have sometimes failed to see in him. Obi-Wan places a hand on Anakin's shoulder. "I'm proud of you, my friend. You faced the darkness and chose the light." Yoda taps his cane thoughtfully. "Much to discuss we have. Blind we were. Clouded by the dark side our vision was. Failed the Republic we did. Failed ourselves. This hubris acknowledge we must." Ki-Adi-Mundi leans forward. "The question now is what role the Jedi should play going forward. We've acted as generals in this war, but perhaps that was a mistake. We are peacekeepers, not soldiers." The debate continues for hours, but eventually a consensus emerges. The Jedi Order must change, must reform, must acknowledge their failures and find a new path forward. And Anakin Skywalker, for his service and his crucial choice, is granted the rank of Master. Anakin closes his eyes, feeling the weight of that title. It's what he wanted for so long, but now it feels hollow. He thinks of Padme, of the child she carries, of the vision that drove him to nearly betray everything. Master Yoda seems to sense his thoughts. "Troubled you still are, young Skywalker. Your wife, concerned about her you are." Anakin meets the ancient Jedi's gaze. "I won't lie to you anymore, Master Yoda. Yes, I'm married to Senator Amidala. She's pregnant and I'm terrified of losing her. I had visions. That's why Palpatine was able to manipulate me so easily. He promised me the power to save her." The council chamber falls silent. In the old ways, this would be grounds for expulsion. But Windu speaks first. "The old ways nearly destroyed us. Attachment is forbidden, we've always said. But perhaps we've confused attachment with love, fear with caution. Anakin risked everything because he loves his wife. Is that not something to admire rather than condemn?" Obi-Wan nods slowly. "I knew, or at least I suspected. I chose to trust Anakin rather than report him. If that makes me complicit, so be it. But I believe we must be more compassionate, more understanding of what it means to be human, while also being a Jedi." Yoda sighs deeply. "Difficult this is, but right, you may be. Failed to adapt we have. Cling to our rules we did, even as the galaxy changed around us. A new path we must find. For now, Master Skywalker, tend to your wife you should. Present for the birth of your child you must be, but responsibility you will have. Balance you must learn to maintain." Anakin feels tears prickling at his eyes. "Thank you, Master. The war does not end immediately. With Palpatine gone and Dooku dead, the Separatist leadership fractures. Some systems genuinely wanted independence and continue to fight, while others were merely pawns in Palpatine's game. General Grievous, now without his Sith masters, becomes more desperate and erratic. The clone army, created for Order 66 that never came, must be repurposed. The Jedi who survive begin questioning their role as they work to end the conflict, but now with a focus on peace rather than victory at any cost. Anakin takes a leave of absence to be with Padme as her pregnancy progresses. They retreat to Naboo, to the lake country where they were married. There, without the weight of war and deception, they can finally be themselves. Obi-Wan visits them, bringing with him medical droids and supplies. "How are you feeling, Padme? Exhausted? Exhilarated? Terrified? The usual for someone about to become a mother, I suppose." She smiles at Anakin, who hovers nervously nearby. "And this one has been insufferable, checking on me every 5 minutes. I can't help it. I almost lost you. I almost lost everything. But you didn't. You made the right choice, Anakin. You saved yourself and saved the Republic." Obi-Wan settles into a chair, looking more relaxed than he has in years. "The Council is changing, you know. We're drafting new guidelines, re-examining our relationship." "That's complicated. Many clones are questioning their purpose. They were created to fight, but now that the war is ending, what becomes of them? Some want to continue serving, others want to retire, to live normal lives. We're working on programs to help them transition, but it's not easy. The Jedi Order faces its own challenges. Yoda convenes a gathering of all available Jedi, not just council members but knights, Padawans, and even some who left the Order. They meet in the ruins of an ancient temple on Lothal, neutral ground away from Coruscant's politics. Brothers and sisters, blind we have been. Lost our way, we did. For 1,000 years peace we kept, but stagnant we became. Rigid, fearful. Mace Windu steps forward. The dark side clouded our vision because we were already living in shadows. We preached compassion but forbade love. We claimed to serve all life but isolated ourselves. We need to change, fundamentally and immediately. A younger Jedi, one who fought on the front lines, speaks up. What does that change look like, Master? Windu, do we abandon all our traditions? Do we throw away everything we've learned? No. We keep what is good and true. We remain guardians of peace and justice. But we must be more present in the galaxy, more connected to the people we claim to serve. And we must allow our members to be whole people, not just warriors or monks, but individuals with families, with connections, with lives beyond the Force. Obi-Wan addresses the gathering. I propose we decentralize. Instead of one temple on Coruscant, we establish smaller academies across the galaxy. We embed ourselves in communities, help them directly, and learn from them as much as they learn from us. We become teachers, mediators, and helpers, not just enforcers. The proposal is radical, but after hours of debate, it's accepted. The Jedi Order will restructure, spreading across the galaxy in small groups rather than concentrating power in one place. Some of the older, more traditional Jedi resign in protest, but most embrace the change. Anakin returns to Coruscant with his family when the twins are 3 months old. He's offered a position training the next generation of Jedi, not in the old ways, but in this new philosophy of balance. His first class includes younglings from across the galaxy, but also older students, people who came to the Force later in life, or who were rejected by the old order for being too old or too emotional. Among them is a young woman named Ahsoka Tano. She's older now, having spent the war fighting on the front lines. She left the Order after being falsely accused, and though she was exonerated, she never returned. But now, with the reforms, she's willing to give the Jedi another chance. Master. Skywalker, I have to say I never thought I'd see the day when the Order would change this much. Neither did I, Snips. But I'm glad you're here. I learned as much from you as you did from me. Maybe more. She smirks. That's definitely true. So what are you going to teach us? How to be reckless and survive on luck? He laughs. No, I'm going to teach you how to be human and still be a Jedi. How to love without fear, how to fight without hate, and how to find balance in a galaxy that constantly tries to pull you to extremes. Their training is unconventional. Anakin takes his students into the lower levels of Coruscant, where they help the poor and forgotten. They mediate disputes between gangs, repair infrastructure, and provide medical aid. They don't just study the Force in meditation chambers. They experience it in the messy, complicated reality of life. Ahsoka proves to be an excellent co-teacher, her street smarts and combat experience complementing Anakin's raw power and intuition. Together, they shape a new generation of Jedi who are warrior poets, diplomats who can fight when necessary but prefer not to, and healers who understand that darkness exists in everyone, and that the goal isn't to destroy it, but to acknowledge and master it. But not everyone is happy with these changes. In the shadows of the galaxy, remnants of Palpatine's regime gather. Former Sith inquisitors, dark side cultists, and corrupt officials who benefited from the empire that never was. They see the Jedi's reforms as weakness, an opportunity to strike. Their leader is a mysterious figure who calls herself the Dark Lady, a former Jedi who fell to the dark side during the Clone Wars and was secretly trained by Dooku. With both Sith Lords dead, she emerges to claim their legacy. On Dromund Kaas, an ancient Sith world, she gathers her followers in a ruined temple. The Jedi think they've won. They think that by killing Sidious, they've destroyed the Sith. But the dark side cannot be killed. It is eternal, and we are its servants. Palpatine was a fool, too ambitious, too arrogant. He tried to rule the galaxy openly. We will be smarter. We will strike from the shadows, corrupt from within, and when the time is right, we will bring the Jedi Order crashing down. Her followers, a mix of fallen Jedi, dark side adepts, and mercenaries, cheer. Among them are some of the clones who were most loyal to Palpatine, their inhibitor chips modified to make them fanatically loyal to the Sith cause. The first attack comes on Ilum, the sacred ice world where Jedi younglings gather their Kyber crystals. A team of young Jedi, including some of Anakin's students, is guiding a group of children through the caves when the temple shakes. Explosions rock the surface as the Dark Lady's forces descend. Ahsoka is leading the group and immediately moves into action. Everyone, into the caves. Go deep, find the crystal chambers, and don't come out until I signal. But Master Ahsoka? Now. She ignites her white lightsabers and rushes toward the entrance, where black armored figures are pouring in. These aren't droids, they're living soldiers, their eyes burning with fanatical hatred. They wield lightsabers, crude and unstable, but effective. Ahsoka meets the first wave with a flurry of strikes, her dual blades spinning in perfect harmony. She cuts through 3 attackers before the others adapt, their numbers overwhelming her. She reaches out through the Force and sends a telepathic distress call to Anakin on Coruscant. On Coruscant, Anakin is in his quarters with Padme and the twins when the call hits him like a physical blow. He gasps, clutching his head. "Anakin, what's wrong?" "It's Ahsoka. She's in trouble. Ilum is under attack. He's already moving, grabbing his lightsaber and cloak. Call Obi-Wan. Tell him to meet me at the temple hangar. I'm going after her. Be careful. Both of you. Always." He kisses her quickly and runs. Within minutes, a Jedi strike team is assembled. Anakin, Obi-Wan, Mace Windu, and a half-dozen other masters board a Republic cruiser and jump to hyperspace. They arrive at Ilum to find the surface scarred by battle. The ancient Jedi temple is partially collapsed, and ships bearing an unfamiliar insignia orbit the planet. Anakin doesn't wait for a landing strategy. He takes a fighter and dives toward the surface, dodging fire from the enemy ships. "Anakin, wait for backup." No time. Ahsoka's in there. He crashes through the temple entrance, literally plowing his fighter into the wall to make a path. He leaps out as it explodes behind him, lightsaber already igniting. The scene before him is chaos. Ahsoka is holding off a dozen attackers, her montrals twitching as she tracks their movements. Several young Jedi lie wounded nearby, and she's positioned herself between them and the enemy. Anakin roars, a sound of pure fury, and force pushes half the attackers into the walls. He's at Ahsoka's side in seconds. "Took you long enough, Sky Guy." Traffic was terrible. They fight back to back, their styles complementary. Anakin's aggressive power combined with Ahsoka's precise agility creates a whirlwind of defense. The attackers fall one by one, but more keep coming. Then the Dark Lady appears. She strides through the carnage, her red lightsaber pulsing with dark energy. Her face is hidden behind a mask, but her presence in the Force is overwhelming. So, the great Anakin Skywalker, the chosen one who chose the light. How disappointing. "Who are you?" "I am what you should have become, everything you denied yourself. Power, freedom, strength without the Jedi's pathetic limitations." She attacks with blinding speed, her lightsaber techniques clearly trained by a master duelist. Anakin meets her blade for blade, but he can feel the dark side radiating off her, tempting him, calling to the part of him that still remembers how close he came to falling. Obi-Wan and the others arrive, and the tide turns. The enemy forces are driven back, and the Dark Lady realizes she's outnumbered. She deactivates her lightsaber. "This isn't over, Skywalker. You saved the Republic, but you cannot save everyone. The darkness will return. It always does." She throws down a smoke grenade, and when it clears, she's gone. The Jedi rescue the younglings and wounded, but the message is clear. The Sith may be gone, but the dark side has many servants. Back on Coruscant, the Council convenes again. This attack proves that our enemies are regrouping. We cannot be complacent. Yoda nods gravely. "Always in motion, the future is. Defeated Palpatine we did, but ended the darkness we have not. Vigilant we must remain." Anakin stands, his jaw tight. Then we hunt them down. We find every last Sith cultist and dark-side user, and we end this. Mace Windu shakes his head. That's the old way, Anakin. Aggression. Preemptive strikes. We cannot become what we fought against. So what do you suggest? We let them attack us until they get lucky? We prepare, we defend, and we trust in the Force. The dark side will always exist, but so will the light. Our job isn't to destroy darkness. It's to be a beacon that helps others find their way out of it. It's a hard lesson for Anakin to accept, but he trusts Windu. Luke nods thoughtfully, but Leia looks troubled. What if we're not strong enough? What if we fail like the old Jedi did? Then you get back up and try again. That's all any of us can do. They spend the day with Owen and Beru, learning about moisture farming and the hard life of the Outer Rim. That night, as they prepare to leave, Luke stares up at the twin suns setting over the desert. I want to help people like this, Dad. People who don't have anyone. People the Republic forgets. That's a good goal, son. And you will. The galaxy still faces challenges. The former separatist worlds form a loose confederation, not hostile to the Republic, but not fully trusting it either. The corporate sector continues to exploit workers. Crime syndicates like the Hutts still control vast territories, but there is no empire, no totalitarian regime crushing hope. The Jedi, now spread across the galaxy, work to address these problems locally. Anakin, now a senior master, oversees operations in the Outer Rim. He establishes a mobile academy that travels from world to world, training Force sensitives and providing aid. Ahsoka runs a similar program in the Mid-Rim. Obi-Wan, ever the diplomat, works directly with the Senate, ensuring that the Jedi and the Republic maintain a healthy relationship without one dominating the other. But the Dark Lady and her followers remain a persistent threat. They strike at isolated Jedi outposts, attempting to steal Sith artifacts and holocrons. They corrupt officials and sow discord. It's a Cold War, a shadow conflict that never fully erupts but never fully ends. The confrontation comes 15 years after Palpatine's defeat. The Dark Lady, now commanding a small fleet and a force of dark side warriors, launches an assault on Coruscant itself. She's been patient, building her strength, and now she's ready. The attack is coordinated and brutal. Bombs detonate across the city, and her forces strike at the Senate building and the Jedi Temple simultaneously. Anakin is with his family when the alert comes. Padme, now a senior senator, is in the Senate building. Luke and Leia, now 15 and trained in the Force, are at the temple. Get the kids and get to the bunker. I'll go to Padme. Anakin, be careful. This feels different. It feels like a trap. He knows she's right, but he has no choice. He races toward the Senate, cutting through the chaos of the streets. People are fleeing, buildings are burning, and in the distance, he can see enemy ships descending. At the temple, Luke and Leia fight alongside other young Jedi, defending the younglings. They're coordinated, working together with the twin bond that makes them nearly unstoppable. Luke uses the Force to shield their group while Leia takes offensive positions, her lightsaber work precise and deadly. In the Senate building, Anakin finds Padme barricaded with other senators. She's armed with a blaster, her security training from her days as Queen kicking in. Are you hurt? No, but we're trapped. They've sealed the exits. Not for long. He ignites his lightsaber and cuts through the barricade, leading the senators to safety. But as they evacuate, he feels a disturbance in the Force, a presence he recognizes. The Dark Lady is here in the building waiting for him. He guides the senators to Bail Organa's security team and then turns back. Padme grabs his arm. Don't do this alone. Call for backup. There's no time. Just trust me. He kisses her, possibly for the last time, and heads toward the throne room. The Dark Lady stands in the center of the grand chamber, her red lightsaber casting crimson shadows on the walls. She's removed her mask, revealing a scarred face and eyes burning with yellow Sith corruption. It's Barriss Offee, Ahsoka's former friend, the Jedi who framed her and fell to the dark side. Barriss, I should have known. You always were lost. Lost? No, Skywalker. I found the truth. The Jedi are failures. The Republic is corrupt. I tried to expose it and they imprisoned me. Dooku freed me, trained me, showed me real power. And where is that power now? Dooku is dead. Palpatine is dead. You're alone, Barriss. I'm not alone. I have the dark side. And you, Skywalker, you're weak. You had the chance to become powerful, to reshape the galaxy, and you chose domesticity. You chose the Jedi who never respected you. She attacks, her rage fueling every strike. Anakin defends, his style refined by years of training and teaching. He doesn't meet her aggression with aggression. Instead, he flows around her attacks, redirecting her energy. You think you know me, Barriss? You think you understand what I chose? I chose life. I chose love. I chose to be more than my anger. That's not weakness. That's strength. Their lightsabers clash, the room shaking with the force of their battle. Anakin can feel the dark side calling to him, tempting him to tap into his rage and end this quickly. But he resists. He remembers his training, the balance he's worked so hard to maintain. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan and Mace Windu arrive with reinforcements. They engage the Dark Lady's forces throughout the building, slowly pushing them back. At the temple, Yoda leads the defense, his ancient power still formidable. The enemy is driven back on all fronts. Barriss realizes she's losing and becomes more desperate. She unleashes a torrent of Force lightning at Anakin, who catches it with his mechanical hand, absorbing the energy. The hand sparks and smokes, but it protects him. Is that all you have? Dooku taught you lightning. Let me show you something the Sith never understood. He doesn't attack. Instead, he reaches out through the Force, not to harm Barriss, but to connect with her. He shows her his memories, his struggles, his near fall, and his redemption. He shows her Ahsoka, her old friend who forgave the Order and found peace. He shows her that there is another way. Barriss screams, trying to block him out, but the connection is too strong. She sees everything, all the pain she's caused, all the lives she's destroyed, and the emptiness of the dark side. Her lightsaber falls from her hand. She drops to her knees, sobbing. What have I done? What have I become? Anakin deactivates his lightsaber and kneels beside her. You became what pain and anger made you, but you can still choose differently. It's not too late. The battle ends. The Dark Lady's forces are captured or killed, and Barriss is taken into custody. But instead of execution, she's offered a chance at redemption, a long and difficult path, but a path nonetheless. In the aftermath, the galaxy takes stock. The attack was devastating, but it could have been worse. The Jedi's decentralized structure meant that even with the temple attacked, most of the Order survived. The Senate, though shaken, remains intact. Bail Organa addresses the Republic from the steps of the damaged Senate building. Today we faced an enemy that sought to destroy us, to break our spirit and shatter our unity. They failed. Not because we are perfect, but because we refused to give up. We've learned from our mistakes. We've reformed our institutions, and we will continue to do so. The Republic is not a finished work. It is a constant effort, a daily choice to do better, to be better. And we will make that choice every day. The crowd cheers, but it's a subdued sound. They've seen the cost of complacency and the price of freedom. Anakin returns home to find Padme and the twins waiting. They embrace, a family reunited. Luke looks up at his father. Is it over? Will there be peace now? Anakin considers the question carefully. There will never be perfect peace, Luke. There will always be conflict, always be challenges, but we can choose how we face them. We can choose not to let fear and anger guide us. That's the real battle, the one we fight every day. Leia, ever practical, asks, so what do we do now? We rebuild, we teach, we help people, and we prepare for the next challenge because it will come. But we face it together. The years continue to pass. The galaxy settles into a new normal, one where the Jedi are advisors and helpers rather than warriors. The Republic reforms its laws, granting more autonomy to member worlds and reducing corruption through transparency and accountability measures. Anakin and Padme watch their children grow into powerful Force users and capable leaders. Luke eventually joins the Jedi Service Corps, working to help agricultural worlds and disaster relief efforts. Leia becomes a senator like her mother, fighting for justice and reform from within the system. On Anakin's 50th birthday, he stands on the balcony of the Jedi Temple, looking out over Coruscant. Obi-Wan joins him, both of them now showing signs of age but still strong. You know, I never thought we'd make it this far. There were so many moments where everything could have gone wrong. Obi-Wan smiles, but it didn't. You made the right choice, Anakin. You saved the Order, you saved the Republic. You saved yourself. I almost didn't. If the timing had been different, if I'd arrived at Palpatine's office just a few minutes earlier or later, everything could have changed. Perhaps, but you can't dwell on what might have been. You can only be grateful for what is, and what is pretty good. They watch as younglings practice in the courtyard below, their laughter echoing off the walls. The future of the Jedi is bright, not because they're perfect, but because they're willing to change and adapt. That evening, Anakin receives an unexpected visitor. Ahsoka arrives with news from the unknown regions. She's been exploring the galaxy's edge, mapping new territories and making contact with isolated Force-sensitive communities. Master Skywalker, there's something you need to see. She produces a holocron, ancient and weathered. I found this on a forgotten world called Mortis. It contains prophecies about the Chosen One, about balance. Anakin takes it carefully, activating the device. A memory surfaces, one he's tried to suppress for years. The vision that started everything, Padme dying in childbirth. He looks at his wife, alive and healthy after all these years, and realizes that by letting go of his fear, by trusting in the Force rather than trying to control it, he saved her in ways Palpatine's dark powers never could. The next morning, Anakin gathers his advanced students, including Luke and Leia, for a special lesson. He takes them to the lower levels of Coruscant, to the industrial sector where he once worked as a slave's child might have if he'd been brought to the city planet instead of Tatooine. They walk through the grimy corridors where workers toil for subsistence wages, where gangs control territories, and where the Republic's prosperity never quite reaches. Luke, always empathetic, is visibly distressed. Why doesn't the Senate do something about this? The Republic has the resources to help these people. Leia, more politically minded, answers before Anakin can, because it's easier to ignore problems that don't affect you. These people don't have powerful representatives. They don't have lobbyists or influence. They're invisible to those in power. Anakin nods approvingly. Exactly. And this is why the Jedi must never isolate themselves in temples and meditation chambers again. We have to be here, in these places, helping these people. Power isn't just about moving objects with your mind or wielding a lightsaber. It's about using your abilities to lift others up. They spend the day working alongside the locals, repairing infrastructure, mediating disputes, and providing medical care through Force healing. Luke proves particularly adept at the healing arts, his gentle nature making people trust him instantly. Leia demonstrates her mother's diplomatic skills, negotiating a peace accord between two rival worker collectives. As they work, a group of thugs approaches, members of a local gang that's been extorting protection money from the workers. The leader, a large Trandoshan, eyes the Jedi with contempt. You don't belong here, Force users. This is our territory. We're not here to challenge you. We're here to help these people. The Trandoshan laughs. Help? By bringing your Republic laws down here? By arresting us and shipping us off-world? No thanks. We'll handle our own business. Anakin steps forward, his presence commanding despite his calm demeanor. I'm not here to arrest anyone. I'm here to offer an alternative. You control this sector through fear and violence. But what if there was a better way? What if these people could prosper and you could share in that prosperity without exploitation? The gang leader narrows his eyes. You think you can reform us? Turn us into good little citizens? I think you're smarter than you let on. You know that bleeding these workers dry isn't sustainable. Eventually, they'll have nothing left to give, and you'll have to move on to the next target. But if you help them thrive, if you protect them from outside threats instead of being the threat, you'll have a stable income and respect instead of fear. The Trandoshan considers this, then spits on the ground. Prove it. Show me how this works and maybe we'll listen. Over the next few weeks, Anakin and his students work with the gang and the workers to restructure their relationship. The gang becomes a security force, protecting the sector from outside threats. In exchange, the workers provide a portion of their earnings, but far less than the extortionate rates they were paying before. It's not a perfect solution, but it's better than what came before. Luke is troubled by the compromise. Dad, aren't we just legitimizing their criminal behavior? Shouldn't we have arrested them? Anakin sits with his son on a rooftop, watching the sunset over the industrial sector. In an ideal galaxy, yes, but we don't live in an ideal galaxy. These people needed help now, not after a lengthy legal process that would probably end with the gang being replaced by another, worse gang. Change doesn't always happen in dramatic moments. Luke, sometimes it's slow, gradual, and messy. What matters is that we improved their lives today and gave them hope for tomorrow. Leia, ever the pragmatist, understands immediately. You're teaching us to work within systems, even flawed ones, to create incremental change. Exactly. The Republic isn't perfect. The Jedi aren't perfect. But we can make things better, one decision at a time. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the Jedi's new approach is yielding results. Crime rates drop in sectors where Jedi are embedded in communities. Diplomatic resolutions increase as Jedi mediators help planets resolve conflicts without warfare. Force-sensitive children are no longer taken from their families, but trained while maintaining those connections. creating Jedi who understand attachment without being consumed by it. However, not everyone approves of these changes. A faction within the Jedi Order, calling themselves the Traditionalist, argues that the reforms have gone too far. They believe the Jedi are losing their identity, becoming too involved in worldly affairs, and abandoning the wisdom of centuries. Their leader is Master Oppo Rancisis, one of the older council members who survived the Clone Wars. He calls for a gathering to address his concerns. The assembly takes place on Tython, the ancient homeworld of the Jedi. Hundreds of Jedi from across the galaxy attend, representing every philosophy and approach within the Order. Anakin stands with the Reformers, while Rancisis leads the Traditionalists. The debate is heated but respectful. Master Rancisis speaks first, his voice heavy with concern. We have survived for millennia by maintaining our distance from the conflicts of the galaxy, by embedding ourselves in local politics, by allowing attachments, by compromising with criminals. We risk losing what makes us Jedi. We become just another political faction, another interest group. We are meant to be above such concerns, devoted entirely to the Force. Anakin responds, keeping his voice calm and measured. With respect, Master Rancisis, it was precisely that distance that allowed Palpatine to corrupt the Republic under our noses. We were so far removed from everyday life that we couldn't see the suffering he caused or the darkness he spread. The Force isn't something separate from life, it is life. To understand it fully, we must be part of the galaxy, not observers of it. Obi-Wan adds his voice to the discussion. I spent years as a traditionalist. I believed in the old ways completely. But the Clone Wars showed me that our isolation had made us arrogant. We thought ourselves wise, but we were blind. These reforms aren't about abandoning our principles. They're about living them more fully. Yoda, now ancient beyond measure, taps his cane thoughtfully. Both sides, wisdom have. Too detached we became, yes. But too involved we cannot be either. Balance we must find. Perhaps a middle path exists. The debate continues for days, with Jedi sharing their experiences from across the galaxy. Those working in communities speak of the real change they've created. The Traditionalists counter with concerns about Jedi being corrupted by power or forming inappropriate attachments. Finally, a compromise emerges. The Order will maintain some traditional temples for those who wish to pursue a more contemplative path, while also supporting the embedded Jedi working in communities. Each Jedi will choose their path based on their strengths and calling. Some will be scholars and mystics. Others will be warriors and protectors. Some will be teachers and diplomats. All are valid expressions of service to the Force. It's not perfect, but it allows the Order to contain multitudes, to be flexible enough to meet the galaxy's needs while maintaining its core identity. As the gathering concludes, Master Rancisis approaches Anakin privately. Skywalker, I still have reservations about your methods, but I cannot deny the results. You've helped more people in 15 years than I did in 50. Perhaps there is wisdom in your approach after all. Thank you, Master. And I've learned from you too. We need the traditional teachings to ground us, to remind us of our purpose. We're stronger together, with our different perspectives. The two shake hands, a symbolic moment of unity between the old guard and the new. Back on Coruscant, a new threat emerges from an unexpected source. The Chiss Ascendancy, a powerful faction from the unknown regions, makes contact with the Republic. Their emissary is a brilliant military commander named Thrawn, who comes bearing warnings of a greater darkness beyond the galaxy's edge. Chancellor Organa convenes an emergency session to hear him. Thrawn's presentation is methodical and disturbing. He displays holographic evidence of a vast empire beyond the known galaxy, the Grisk hegemony, a conquering force that destroys entire civilizations. They enslave populations, strip worlds of resources, and leave nothing but ash in their wake. The Chiss have been holding them back for generations, but our strength is waning. We need allies. We need the Republic. The Senate erupts in debate. Some senators argue for isolationism, that the Republic has only just recovered from the Clone Wars and cannot afford another conflict. Others argue that if the Grisk are as dangerous as Thrawn claims, they must be stopped before they reach Republic space. Padme, now one of the Senate's most senior and respected voices, addresses the chamber. We cannot turn our backs on potential allies or ignore a threat of this magnitude. But neither can we rush into war. I propose a joint expedition, Republic and Chiss together, to assess this threat and determine the best course of action. The proposal passes and a task force is assembled. Anakin volunteers to lead the Jedi contingent, taking with him Luke, Leia, Ahsoka, and a team of skilled Jedi Knights. Obi-Wan accompanies them as a diplomatic representative. Their journey into the unknown regions is treacherous, navigating hyperspace routes that are barely mapped and encountering phenomena that challenge their understanding of the Force. Luke senses something during their travels, a disturbance that feels different from the dark side he's familiar with. Dad, do you feel that? It's like the Force itself is twisted out there, corrupted by something alien. Thrawn, overhearing, nods grimly. The Grisk have technologies and abilities that defy our understanding. They manipulate minds, turn allies against each other, and use the very bonds of loyalty and friendship as weapons. They are perhaps the most dangerous enemy you will ever face. When they finally encounter a Grisk scouting party, the Jedi understand Thrawn's warnings. The Grisk are insectoid beings with a hive mind intelligence. They don't feel pain or fear in the way other species do, making them relentless opponents. More disturbing, they've developed a way to disrupt the Force itself, creating dead zones where Jedi powers don't function. The battle is unlike anything the Jedi have experienced. Anakin finds himself fighting not with his lightsaber and Force powers, but with pure combat skill and strategy. Luke and Leia, working together with their twin bond, manage to overcome the disruption by channeling the Force through each other, a technique no one has seen before. Ahsoka's years of experience fighting without the Force during her time away from the Order prove invaluable. She teaches the others how to fight when their powers are stripped away. The expedition barely escapes, but they gather crucial intelligence. The Grisk are indeed a massive threat, but they're also overstretched, fighting wars on multiple fronts. The Chiss have been holding one front alone, but with Republic support they could push the Grisk back and secure the galaxy's borders. Anakin returns to Coruscant and presents his findings to the Senate and the Jedi Council. The debate is intense. Some argue that the Republic should fortify its own borders and let the Chiss handle the Grisk. Others insist that this is exactly the kind of threat the Republic and Jedi were meant to face. Anakin addresses both bodies with unusual passion. For years we've been focused inward, healing our wounds and reforming our institutions. That work was necessary, but we can't hide behind our borders forever. The Grisk will come eventually, and when they do, we need to be ready. More than that, we have a moral obligation to help the Chiss, who've been protecting the galaxy without our knowledge or gratitude for generations. Yoda supports this position. Agree with Skywalker, I do. Ignore this threat, we cannot, but cautious we must be. Another war, the Republic may not survive. Bail Organa proposes a middle ground. Limited military support to the Chiss, joint defense pacts, and shared intelligence, but no full-scale invasion or offensive war. The Republic will help defend but not conquer. The proposal passes narrowly, and a new chapter in galactic history begins. The Republic-Chiss alliance forms, with Jedi serving as liaisons and defenders. Luke and Leia, now in their early 20s, take leading roles. Luke works with Chiss Force sensitives, learning about their unique connection to the Force and teaching them Jedi techniques. Leia serves as a military liaison, her strategic mind and Force abilities making her an invaluable coordinator between Republic and Chiss forces. The war against the Grisk is long and grinding, lasting nearly a decade. Unlike the Clone Wars, which saw massive battles and dramatic shifts in territory, this conflict is characterized by skirmishes, intelligence operations, and holding actions. The Jedi find themselves stretched thin, defending multiple fronts and learning to fight an enemy that can nullify their greatest advantage. Anakin, now in his 60s, continues to lead from the front, though Padme begs him to take a less dangerous role. They argue about it one night in their quarters on Coruscant. "You're not a young man anymore, Anakin. Every time you leave, I wonder if you'll come back. Let Luke and Leia handle the front lines. Come home, I can't, not while people are dying, not while my students are out there fighting. What kind of teacher would I be if I sent them into danger and stayed safe at home? The same kind of husband I need. We've been lucky, Anakin. We've had decades together that we should never have had in another timeline. Don't push that luck too far." He takes her hands, seeing the worry in her eyes. "I promise you, I'm more careful now. I fight smarter, not harder. And I trust our children. They're better than I ever was. Stronger, wiser, more balanced. If something happens to me, they'll be fine. That's not the point. We need you. I need you." They hold each other, the weight of years and wars pressing down on them, but also the comfort of a love that has survived everything the galaxy threw at them. The turning point in the war comes when Luke discovers a way to counter the Grisk's Force disruption technology. Working with Chiss scientists and ancient Jedi texts, he develops a meditation technique that allows Jedi to perceive the Force, even in dead zones. by connecting to life itself rather than the energy field. It's a subtle but crucial difference. Where the Grisk technology disrupts the Force as an energy field, it can't disrupt the living force, the presence of life in all beings. Luke teaches this technique to every Jedi in the task force, and suddenly the Grisk's greatest advantage is negated. The tide turns. Republic and Chiss forces, now with full Jedi support even in disrupted zones, push the Grisk back system by system. The war doesn't end with a single climactic battle, but with a gradual retreat of Grisk forces back beyond known space. The threat isn't eliminated, but it's contained. Thrawn, now a Grand Admiral in the Joint Fleet, commends the Republic's efforts. Your Jedi proved to be the decisive factor. The Chiss ascendancy is in your debt. Anakin, present at the final treaty signing, responds with diplomatic grace. We fight not for debts, but for survival and justice. The Chiss held the line alone for generations. We simply joined a battle you were already winning. The alliance remains in place, creating a permanent bond between the Republic and the Chiss. Trade routes open, cultural exchanges begin, and the galaxy grows larger and more connected. When Anakin finally returns home after the war's conclusion, he's greeted as a hero once again. But this time, he's uncomfortable with the attention. At the celebration in the Senate, he gives a brief speech. I'm honored by your recognition, but I'm not the hero of this story. The real heroes are the Jedi who gave their lives defending the innocent. The clone troopers who chose to continue serving even after learning they were created for a war they didn't start. The Chiss warriors who held the darkness at bay for generations. And my children, who represent everything good about the next generation. They're not burdened by our failures or our dogma. They see the Force clearly, without our biases. The future belongs to them. Luke and Leia join him on the podium, and the applause is thunderous. Later, in private, Leia asks her father a question that's been troubling her. Dad, what if the Jedi hadn't changed? What if the Order had stayed the way it was? Would we have survived the Grisk? Anakin considers this carefully. Honestly, probably not. The old Order was powerful but inflexible. They would have tried to fight the Grisk the same way they fought everything, with overwhelming force powers and lightsaber combat. But the Grisk required adaptation, creativity, and the ability to fight without relying solely on the Force. The reforms made us stronger, not weaker. Luke adds his own observation. I've been thinking about the prophecy, about balance. You brought balance not by destroying the Sith, but by reforming the Jedi. You made us acknowledge our shadow side, our capacity for darkness, and by doing that, you made us whole. Anakin smiles, feeling a sense of peace he's rarely known. Maybe that's what the prophecy really meant all along. Balance isn't about light defeating darkness. It's about recognizing that both exist in all of us and choosing, every day, to walk the middle path. Years pass into decades. Anakin and Padme grow old together, surrounded by their children and eventually grandchildren. The Republic evolves, becoming more democratic and less centralized. The Jedi Order continues to reform and adapt, learning from each generation. On Anakin's 80th birthday, a grand celebration is held. Jedi from across the galaxy attend, along with senators, military officers, and ordinary people whose lives Anakin touched over his long career. Ahsoka, now a master herself and leader of one of the largest Jedi academies, gives a toast. To Master Skywalker, who taught us that being a Jedi isn't about perfection. It's about constantly striving to be better. Who showed us that love isn't a weakness but a source of strength. And who proved that the darkest night can give way to the brightest dawn if we just keep choosing the light. Obi-Wan, now ancient and frail but still sharp of wit, adds his own words. I trained Anakin when he was a boy, angry and afraid, and convinced the galaxy was against him. I watched him nearly fall to darkness, saw him stand at the precipice and pull himself back. And I've watched him spend 50 years proving that redemption isn't a single moment, but a lifetime of choices. He's been a better man than I ever hoped to be. Anakin, embarrassed by all the attention, tries to deflect. I'm just a man who got lucky. As the twin moons rise over Coruscant, Anakin realizes that this is what balance truly means. Not the absence of darkness, but the presence of light strong enough to illuminate it. Not perfection, but the constant effort to be better. Not the end of conflict, but the wisdom to resolve it without war whenever possible. The Jedi Purge never happened. Order 66 remained dormant code in chips that were eventually removed. The Empire never rose. Darth Vader never existed. And because of one choice, one moment of clarity, billions of lives were saved and a galaxy was given a chance to heal. Padme leans her head on his shoulder. Any regrets? He thinks about all the paths not taken, all the darkness he avoided, all the pain that never came to pass. Only one. I regret taking so long to understand what you tried to teach me from the beginning. That love isn't the path to darkness, fear is. And I spent so many years afraid, but you learned. That's what matters. He kisses her forehead gently. Yes, I learned. And I got to spend my life teaching others the same lesson. I got to watch our children grow up. I got to see the galaxy change for the better. I got to grow old with you. That's more than most Jedi ever dreamed of. They stand together as the night deepens, two old warriors finally at peace, having earned their rest through decades of service and sacrifice. But peace is never permanent in a living galaxy. Even as Anakin and Padme enjoy their quiet moment, new challenges are emerging. On the edge of wild space, explorers discover ancient ruins that predate the Republic by millennia. Within those ruins are artifacts that suggest the Sith were not the only dark side tradition, that other paths to corruption exist, waiting to be rediscovered. A young archaeologist, ambitious and brilliant, begins studying these artifacts against the warnings of her Jedi advisors. Her name is Afra, and she believes that by understanding the dark side academically, she can find ways to protect against it. But understanding and using are separated by the thinnest of lines. Luke senses this new disturbance and brings his concerns to the council. There's something stirring, something old. We thought we'd moved past the Sith, but the dark side is deeper and older than we knew. Leia, attending the council meeting in her role as Chancellor, frowns. Are we looking at another war? Another Palpatine? Not necessarily, but we need to be vigilant. The dark side adapts, evolves. Just because we defeated one manifestation doesn't mean others won't arise. Anakin, present as an advisor despite his advanced age, speaks with the weight of experience. Then we prepare the next generation to face it. We teach them what we learned, our mistakes and our victories. We make sure they understand that balance isn't achieved once and forgotten. It's maintained through constant awareness and choice. The meeting concludes with a plan to increase monitoring of dark side sites, to train Jedi specifically in recognizing corruption, and to ensure that the Republic's intelligence services remain vigilant against new threats. But as Anakin walks home that evening, he feels a strange peace. The galaxy will always have challenges, always have darkness lurking in corners, always have people who choose power over compassion. But it also has light, has heroes, has people willing to stand against that darkness. The cycle continues, as it always has and always will. And now, the galaxy has something it didn't have before. It has institutions that can reform, Jedi who can adapt, and leaders who understand that perfection is impossible, but improvement is always within reach. That night, Anakin dreams. He's back on Tatooine, a child again, working in Watto's shop. But instead of bitterness, he feels gratitude for the journey that started there. He sees his mother, young and beautiful, smiling at him. You did well, Ani. Better than I ever could have hoped. I'm proud of you. He sees Qui-Gon, the Jedi Master who first believed in him. You fulfilled the prophecy, young Skywalker, just not in the way anyone expected. Balance was never about destruction. It was always about understanding. He sees Obi-Wan, his master and friend. You were my greatest student and my greatest teacher. You showed me that the Jedi could change, could be more than their rules and traditions. And finally, he sees himself, the dark version that could have been, Darth Vader in black armor, mechanical and cold. But this Vader isn't threatening. He's fading, becoming transparent, disappearing into the light. You chose well. I am what you could have become, the path you didn't take. But because you turned away, billions lived. Anakin wakes to find Padme watching him, concern in her eyes. Are you all right? You were talking in your sleep. He smiles, taking her hand. I'm fine. Better than fine. I was just saying goodbye to an old nightmare. As dawn breaks over Coruscant, Anakin Skywalker, once a slave, once nearly a Sith Lord, now a Jedi Master and father and grandfather, watches the sun rise with his wife beside him. The galaxy spreads out before them, vast and complicated and full of both light and shadow. But today, the light is winning. And that, he realizes, is all anyone can ask for. One day at a time, one choice at a time, one person at a time, the galaxy gets better. Not perfect, never perfect, but better. And that's enough. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.